Hello there. Welcome to Just the Discs. We talk about Blu-rays here. My name's Brian, and I have a delightful guest joining me today, Mr. Dan Kinem of VHSHitfest, the new wonderful label for the partners over at Vinegar Syndrome. Hello, Dan.
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me on.
A pleasure, sir. We have sort of been in touch over the years, and I've seen the work that you've done, and so let's talk about your label and what it is as the Blu-ray version of it, but like where it came from prior to that, how it came about, basically.
Okay. Well, in 2010, I started a Tumblr at the time to review movies. Me and a friend of mine, Tim May, um, we were just reviewing VHS tapes, strictly, no DVDs, no anything, because all that he had in his dorm room at the time was a VCR, and there was a video store in the town, and all they had was VHS. It was like a chain that decided to bring all their tapes just to this one location. So we went there every single day, just buying up different weird things that we could find. And like it kind of gained a little bit of like traction. People liked it. And that's when we decided to start doing videos on YouTube. And from there, we were doing video reviews. And we were like, okay, well, we should try and release some of these more obscure or like funny, kind of like so bad they're good type of movies. So we did Hell Roller at the beginning. We did Gourmet Zombie Chef from Hell, some of our favorites early on. And it was just at the time limited VHS releases. We would include like special features on there of just like us messing around. I think for Hell Roller, we even interviewed one of the actors for one of our earlier releases. But then from that point on, we were like, saw that VHS was coming back because there was other companies doing the same thing, and it was, I think the VHS movie had just been announced, and House of the Devil had a tape release, and it was kind of like bubbling up a little bit. There was already articles like VHS was making a comeback and stuff. So that's when me and some of my friends, Levi, who I call Dabby Doo, me and him decided to team up and make a documentary, and that was Adjust Your Tracking. And
Which
from there,
I love that movie, by the way. I was hoping
oh,
that would come up because I think what was the other, there was the other VHS doc that came out that time. I'm not remembering the title, which is embarrassing, but yours was the one that really hooked me because I just really I remember I bought a couple shirts to support the doc because I was such a fan.
thank
Um
you.
I just love like so much about it. Can you explain just as a digression, because I've never talked about Adjust Your Tracking on the channel and I absolutely love it. What was the premise of that? Who did you talk to? What was the doc? What was the deal with that doc, basically?
Well, we started it we didn't, it was in 2011 when we started working on it. I didn't really know at the time what we were going to do because I didn't know if it should be like an extension of the YouTube videos we were making, kind of where we were going and hunting for VHS, going to video stores. I was like, maybe we could go that route and like interview some of the owners of the stores that were still around and show different people trying to find tapes. But we went to New York City and met up with our friend Matt, who runs Horror Boobs, and he runs what is it, Visual Vengeance, that new like
Oh, the
Blu-ray
new,
company.
nice.
Yeah, and so we teamed up with him, and he set up. I think that trip we did like 15 or 16 interviews, and it was only like 4 day trip, and it was like Tony Timpone, Lloyd Kaufman. We interviewed him. We interviewed Josh from Lunch Meat and Earl Kess, who does like a lot of the artwork for the Vinegar Syndrome stuff and Massacre Video stuff. We got a bunch of interviews on there. And like on the way home, we were kind of like, okay, now we know that the direction we want this movie to go in is more focused on the collectors and kind of how there is a resurgence in VHS and, more people are getting into it. And we wanted to kind of make it before it really like blew up, which I mean in the 10 years since we made it, it really like has just continued to grow with like Stranger Things, and there's VHS tapes in like Target now. So many companies are releasing tapes, like it's crazy. I
Yeah.
think even like Urban Outfitters like reached out to buy some VHS. They're like starting to carry VHS. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, I like I said, I love the doc. Even down to like the lower thirds. I love that you did like the little stickers that you used to put on the VHS tapes and you wrote people's names. I was just like, that is brilliant. I've been working on a doc myself for more than 10 years, and I'm embarrassed that it's not coming along further. But when I saw that movie, I was like, oh man, the care that they put into those kind of details beyond the fact that everybody you interviewed was interesting. You interviewed my friend Phil Blankenship, who has the
Mm,
best story about
legend.
the worst smelling tape. That little clip of Phil is one of my favorite things.
I know exactly what type of tape he's talking about too. For like anyone who's hardcore into VHS, after making that and just like finding tapes myself, it's Thorn EMI, like those clamshells. They get like baked in the sun and they start to smell like the worst BO ever for some reason. And I guarantee that's the exact like company tape that he was talking about in there.
Oh man,
But
it's so good. So many great folks you talked to in that documentary. I can't recommend it enough. I'm pretty sure it's streaming somewhere right now, isn't it? Or it used to be.
uh
Um
yeah,
I,
I think it's on like Amazon Prime,
yeah.
Tubi.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think Peacock has it, like a bunch of different places. So
Yeah, my biggest recommendation, beyond the stuff you're putting out and the movies, is go check out Adjust Your Tracking because I absolutely love it. And I bought the special edition DVD, I think, the 2 disc set when it came out, and I should have shown that on the channel a long time ago. Anyway, I'm glad we got to talk about that because that is such a great doc, and I'm so happy that you made it. And it's just one of my favorite things that in terms of docs that I saw in the last 10, 15 years. So anyway. So there's Adjust Your Tracking. You guys are still doing some releasing stuff, or what happens after Adjust Your Tracking in terms of the label, sort of?
well, over I guess we focused more on Adjust Your Tracking at that time.
Hmm.
I was still, collecting tapes and finding different movies that I was interested in, but we were just mainly going with that for a while. And then just over the years, whenever I just got around to it, I guess, whenever I wasn't lazy, we would release things like there was a movie that was made in like my hometown. And that was called Lazarus the Legend. And it was a feature length, like weird kung fu sci-fi thing. And it only aired on TV, like local TV, and never got any release. So that was definitely like a
Wow.
little bit of like a side passion project. We did some interviews for that. And throughout, I was still licensing movies. That's kind of how I already had a lot of the stuff that I'm doing with Vinegar now. I already had that license for like 4 or 5 years. And it was just, I was working on it slowly but surely. And thank God I held off because then that happened. But I wanted to get into Blu-ray and I was like asking around. I'm like, I wanted nice slip covers. I wanted like nice releases. And like no one knew exactly like where they were made or they weren't like giving the info. So I was like, oh, this is gonna take forever. So I was just kind of dragging my ass, I guess, on
Yeah.
those releases. But it's always been a little side like thing that I do that I like doing just because I love movies, basically.
Yeah. No, I'm super. You guys, I think, are a really, really good fit for Vinegar Syndrome's partner labels. I just feel like your sensibilities are really in line with the kind of stuff that Vinegar Syndrome does, where it's stuff that a lot of times people haven't heard of. I know for sure that you, just about every time you talk about a movie that you're really passionate about, I'm like, I've never heard of that. And I know you dug it out from some VHS that you saw years ago and it's never been available. And that VHS is like out of print for years, and maybe only had like 500 copies made by the person who made the movie. And, I'm seeing like when you're doing your transfers that you're getting like beta SP masters. And a lot of times these elements are not necessarily in great shape. So it's got to be tough for you to source your move. We'll get into the movies in a second, but just sourcing them, based on it's a lot of regional filmmaking, a lot of really low budget stuff. That's got to be tricky.
Oh yeah, it is. There's things that are coming down the line. Even Cornshucker, our first thing, like where basically any elements that existed are long gone. So it's kind of like get it released now or it might be gone forever because no one really knows how long tapes are going to last. But a lot of that's the fun aspect of it is just finding something and like for Blood Hunter, we had to like dig in the director's basement looking for the like raw footage that he had. He had the original camera that he like shot the movie on and all this stuff. So that's kind of what I love is, digging deep and trying to find, weird stuff,
Well,
especially some of the things they have coming are I'm excited about.
well, I'm too. I think so far the two that we've seen are both fascinating. How did you decide the Cornshucker was going to be number one? And can you give the lowdown on the Cornshucker for people that don't know? Like you sold me. I saw you talking about it or read an interview with you, and I was like, okay, this sells me. But like, what's your sell to people for Cornshucker? And then you can talk about why that was your number one for your first release.
Well, Cornshucker, I had that license forever. It was just a movie that I saw on tape and it blew me away. And I guess I would describe it. It's not shot nice. It's not shot on video, but it kind of has a similar vibe to it. It's definitely a regional, really low budget, kind of like heavily David Lynch influenced. I would say it's like a Midwestern Eraserhead with corn, a lot of
Yes.
corn involved, and it's just odd. Like the sense of humor, it's a dark, weird comedy that, like, before I met the director of that, I had no clue at all what he was going to be like. And after meeting him, like, he was perfect. Like, I loved everything about him. Like, he's a great guy, but like, his sense of humor is so unique. And I felt like that really made a good first release for us because it's like, I felt like if we came out the gate with something that was shot on video, just like a shot on video slasher or something like that, it wouldn't really show, what we were capable of. It would just be a little like more obvious. I love those movies. I love shot on video. I love slashers, but this, I wanted to do like more of a weird art housey vibe, just a strange, not quite horror, a little comedy, like something that also I like that there was no information at all online about it too. I loved seeing everyone like going nuts, like when we announced it, like trying to figure out what it was about because there was no clips online. People were like, should I buy it? Should I not? I don't even, there might have been like one review or maybe two on Letterboxd. Like, so that made it didn't even have an IMDb too. That was another thing. Like, okay, this is great. No IMDb listing. That's crazy. And
No,
I thought it was just a fun first for us.
yeah, I totally agree. I really love that you chose that one in particular. It just really does announce, and I get what you're saying about the shot on video. Like I love, some of the other labels that are doing the shot on video stuff, and it's pretty neat to see. It's not 100% my bag, if I'm being completely honest, but I'm fully interested, and I've gotten tons of them, and I've really enjoyed a lot of them. I really want Sledgehammer to get a Blu-ray at some point. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but that said, like you say, doing a shot on video as your first might, throw people a little bit in terms of the difference that you doing this as your first. I was like, that really makes a statement. I'm like, this really says this is going to be weird, interesting stuff. And I'm fully on board for it. So that was what, and I knew I knew who you were. I knew the kind of things you were into. So when you announced that you were going to do this, I was like, yes, I'm fully in. I can't wait. I'm excited. But I hadn't seen this one in particular. And so I was just like, and when it arrived and I watched it, I was like, oh yeah, this is perfect. This is a perfect start to your label. So I got to say, salute to you for that. And then, so you do Corn. How do you find a filmmaker? How do you find this guy? How do you find him and talk to him and all that stuff?
I don't even know how I originally found him. I know it had to be on Facebook, I would think.
Okay.
Just like Googled him and
Okay.
tried to, it was like I said, it was like 5 years ago now that like I found him. It might have been Facebook or like I Googled him and somehow like got in contact with him and then he like gave me his Facebook, but like I didn't know if it was him too. He doesn't have the most like unique name. Like I couldn't quite tell. So like definitely that's one of the fun things though, is kind of trying to track down these people and then seeing their reaction when I'm like, yeah, I love this movie and want to release it. And they're always just like, what? Like, why not anyone cares or is still talking about it?
That's so cool, man. I mean, it's genuinely creating a fan, like a thing for a movie that nobody knew about. And that's one of the things I love about the opportunities that a label has to do in terms of curation. But again, like I said, knowing your sensibilities, I'm like, I'm into it. I'm very curious. Now, so Blood Hunter, your second release, what is the story with this one? Like, how, again, describe the movie and then maybe talk about like why this was a second choice.
Okay, yeah, Blood Hunter, that was a movie that um a friend of mine, Grant, who's in Adjuster Tracking, he's another collector. He actually found it. I had never heard of it. This was again like probably 6 years ago now. And he told me about it. He was like, "This is amazing. Like, you need to find this." And he described it a little bit. He was basically like a backwoods, like really small town Kentucky movie with like a lot of video store scenes in it, and it's like full of one-liners. It's cheesy, but in the best way possible. And it's like I mean, the vampire's kind of like trying to do good, but it's like bad at the same time and stuff. So he described it really well, and I was like, okay, I need to find this. And I was able to finally track down the director, and he had like one copy left, I think, at the time. I asked for that, watched it. Me and my girlfriend watched it, and I was blown away. It was super, super dark. I was like, if I could get like a better quality version of this in any way, like I would be so much happier. But then I just started talking to him more and more and licensed that. That was around the same time as CORNSHUKKER. So both of those directors have been waiting a while for their movies to come out. I'm just kept being like, soon, soon. I remember I even said like, I think maybe October 2019 or something. I was like, I'm aiming for that. For
Wow.
But then COVID and a bunch of other stuff, whatever, like, but it eventually happened. So that's another, I thought that was a good follow-up to CORNSHUKKER too, because it's like also not shot on video. That was another crazy thing. That it was 16 millimeter, but it was just in odd, kind of so bad it's good. It's like perfect to watch with like a group of friends and just, you know, just love, I don't know, just all the performances, everything about it. And once I started talking to him more and hearing the stories, he was like dropping so many like great stories through us talking. I wanted him to like hold off so I could be like fresh when we interviewed him. I'm like, just wait, don't tell me anything. And then when we got there, it was like one of the best days ever. Just amazing, amazing stories, great interview. And then, like I said, we went into his basement. He was like pulling out the original fangs that he wore in the movie. He had the original camera, like all these tapes. That was one of the best things, like getting to go through his like basically home movies, all the raw footage he had and like news interviews and stuff, and just compile the ultimate Blood Hunter release with everything we could find.
Yeah, and it's a great release. I haven't had a chance to check out all the features yet. I apologize, but I'm excited because you have. So his name is Jack Schrum. He is the director and the lead actor. He plays the vampire. And you have a 50-minute making of documentary on this disc that has those interviews and stuff, and an archival Q&A and 90s news interviews. So that's really exciting. But did he? I don't want to give away a lot because I'd rather people buy it and hear it. But like, how does this guy decide, I'm going to make a movie, I'm going to be a weird vampire that's a mechanic that works in an all-night junkyard and is just very where does this come from on a brief level? Can you explain a little bit of his take on like why he made that movie?
Oh, like why he did it is crazy. Like, his dad was in Vietnam, and when they came back from Vietnam, they like, I guess the government offered this, but they offered like a filmmaking program for like veterans that were coming back. And well, it's like a toss up whether it was like a filmmaking thing or an acting thing. There's differing like stories in that thing, but either way, it was something to do with film. And he always wanted to be a writer, so his dad was actually, well, I guess his dad supposedly wrote the original script to Piranha.
What?
This is so good. Yeah, everyone needs to watch the extras. It's so good.
Yeah, again, we don't need to spoil a lot of this. You're giving
well,
gold here, so you can stop anytime. But
like, I could go on and on. There's so many stories, but yeah, his dad wrote the script basically, and they had hired people to make the movie, and they hired an actor, and like the people who were going to like direct the movie wanted like a crazy amount of money after they had agreed, so they didn't come. And then his like lead actor backed out, so he was like had to direct and star in the movie.
Okay,
And
it's one of
then
those.
like
Okay.
his dad's friend, Chuck, who was in Lunch Meat, that was the only other thing he was ever in. He was also an actor and a veteran, and he co-directed the movie and also starred in the movie. So it's directed by two people who both star in it and have like never done anything, and it's just so fun, so good.
Yeah.
And anyone who has that release, I highly suggest, even if you hated the movie, watch that documentary, because there's some really really good stories, some super fun ones in there.
Yeah, no, dude, this is exciting stuff, man. This is again, two in a row that I think are absolutely fascinating and don't feel like anything exactly that's come from any other Vinegar Syndrome label in my head. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff happening in Blu-ray in the last few years in regional horror. We're getting crazy box sets from, regional filmmakers from like Arrow and stuff like that. And definitely Vinegar has been tapping into some regional filmmaking, but these just have a really specific vibe that I want to attribute to you. Is just sort of this like, I don't know, it like you say so bad they're good, but I think there's just a really interesting quality about the filmmaking that I've stopped being critical of the kind of filmmaking we're talking about, where you watch a scene and you can tell the editing is maybe not as tight as it could be. And so you have those shots that hang on an actor a little too long. And I find that stuff at this point so charming and
Mm-hmm.
and enjoyable that it becomes part of the tapestry of this thing. And that vibe, I feel like you're really tapped into. So I mean, this one's different than Cornshucker. I think Cornshucker has some of that. This has more. It feels like of
Mm-hmm.
those kind of moments of like long pauses and extra bits and scenes. And I don't know. It just when with combined with the like the actors that are obviously non-actors they're using, it really makes for this unique experience, I gotta say, for sure. Um,
Thank
so so anyway, I love
you.
these two as a starting point. I think this is really good stuff. What when this comes out, this title will already have been announced, but what's your number three?
It's a movie called Satan's Menagerie,
Okay.
and it's so good. It might be my favorite of the three that we've done.
Okay.
Uh, it's probably it's actually is shot on video. This is our first shot on video thing, and it's like, I'll say it, it's the most ambitious shot on video movie I've ever seen. Took
Wow.
6 years to finish making. It's wall to wall special effects, so crazy. It's kind of like a Universal Monsters homage a little bit. The director's a big Universal Monster fan, but it has like every monster you can imagine, all like
Ooh.
original creations though, like twists on the Universal Monsters, full special effects. So like I'll tell everyone, the last 40 minutes of this movie is like gonna blow everyone away. It's just nonstop insanity. And with that too, it like that movie's already really obscure, but like I some people have heard of it. But on there, one of the most like excited things, they made a movie in the 80s, and it was shot on 8 millimeter, and it was a feature length anthology movie
Oh my
that
gosh.
like was basically completely lost, never screened, no release or anything, and we have that on there too. So it's got, for the people who hate SOV completely, it at least has, an 8 millimeter fun thing, and the
What's that
movie's too.
what's that second one called?
That's called Tales of the Undead.
Tales of the Undead. All right. I
Yeah,
like it.
80s, yeah, 80s anthology, and it's got some familiar people in the horror world that pop up in both movies. That people will be excited to see. Just some, this group of friends in New York made. He had always wanted to make like his own movie. The director Gary Griffith, and he saved up. It was kind of like through interviewing him and through interviewing other people, it was like basically Kevin Smith's story. Kind of, he sold his like comic collection and like his laser discs and stuff just to get the money to make it, and he started working on it in like the mid 90s, and like I said, it 6 years later, finally, it got like the most limited release ever. No DVD too. They had like the option. They were like, should we go DVD or should we go VHS?
Oh
And
no.
in like 2001, this was, or maybe 2000, they went with VHS. So like it basically like died completely and no one got to see it. That's another exciting aspect of kind of, getting to release something that somebody put so much effort into that really no one got to see. Two movies.
Yeah.
And it has over 7 hours of special features. Like we went all out for
Oh
this
my
one.
God.
Another 40-minute movie that no one's seen. So a feature-length movie, a 40-minute movie, the regular movie, an amazing commentary, full-length documentary. Like this is gonna blow people away.
Wow. This sounds epic, man. This sounds
Mhm.
crazy. I can't wait. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's really, really cool.
Yeah, and the cover, Earl, like outdid Earl, who did our
Okay,
first
so
two
yeah,
covers. He like outdid himself with this cover. It blew me away. I'm so excited to like get it in person and see it. Like it's so good. So I'm
that's so
excited.
cool.
It. That was another thing too. How I'm like all we have, I think 15 things like set in stone, 15 releases, like 100% like confirmed and planned, and like I'm so excited about all of them. Like there's no movie that we're releasing, at least so far, that I don't like love to the fullest. So that's like one thing I'm happy and excited about, is that I can talk about the movies and actually like be passionate. I don't have to like, you know, be like, I like it, but it's not the best thing ever. No, these releases that we're doing, I love so far.
That's
So maybe I'll
awesome.
run out eventually years from now, but these are some of my favorites that I'm excited for more people to see.
I just think it's super cool that you have this backlog of stuff that you hit the ground beyond running, just like
Mm-hmm.
take off out of the gate so fast. Have you thought, just out of, and as an aside, have you thought about any kind of a subscription that you would ever offer? I noticed like TerraVision just recently offered a subscription. Yours is the kind of label I really feel like you could probably get some people on board to give you a chunk of money to get your slate, I mean, it's just a thought.
That's true. Like maybe one day. I feel like with them, and I also subscribe to it just because I love them. I feel like maybe they're more popular, and the movies are, you know, I feel like their fan base already is like a lot larger, and the movies are kind of, you know, just more known. It might be a little bit harder to get people to be like, 15 movies that I know nothing about. You want me to subscribe to that? Like, at least they're doing, some things I'm super excited about, like the Linnea Quigley workout and like that horror Christmas movie and stuff like that. So I like what they're doing. Maybe one day, once we've released a lot more stuff, that
Yeah,
could
yeah,
be
yeah.
a to go,
That's
or maybe
cool.
like a little streaming thing or something where
Oh
we can
yeah.
upload like, you know, maybe I just came up. It would be cool to do like a short film like collection too. Actually,
Hell yeah, dude.
I have so many crazy, crazy short films from people that never made features. It'd be cool to like collect them into a release down the line.
Yeah, dude. I was
Actually,
just thinking. I was just thinking the kind of short films comp that you would put together.
Mm.
I would be very interested to see. I would be very interested to see that. So definitely,
Yeah,
just don't shelve that idea. Keep that on the forefront. That's a really
yeah,
cool,
that is a good idea.
very good stuff. Wow. Do you have any idea? Will it be one every month, or will you guys be going every other? What's your schedule moving forward, basically?
Well, like the guy that I like work with, the person who Levi, who co-directed Just Your Tracking with me, he like lives in like an RV half the year. So like I was kind of like making the releases like more spaced out so that we could like do them, and like, keep it fun. I didn't want it to like feel like work. I wanted it to, I'm doing it not really for money or any reason, just other than loving movies.
Yeah.
So I think next year there's going to be 5 releases.
Okay.
They're December, and then there'll be 5. But I messaged them the other day. I'm like, we have too much that I want to release, and too much is licensed. I'm like, maybe we should try and do like a 12 release year the following year. So
Wow.
that's leaning towards that, just because I don't want to like license a movie and then tell the director like 2026. Like, I want to like not overdo it and get people sick of it, but I also the ones that we're doing the 4 or 5, I can't remember if it's 4 or if it's 5 next year, are like knockout, like so good movie wise. I'm super excited about those. So I think those will hold people over, and then maybe the following year we'll do like a 12 release month, or I mean release a month.
That's cool. I mean, that's a good plan. That totally makes sense. And if you're doing 7 hours of bonus features on any of them, like I understand that's going to take a little time, you know, a little
And
difficult.
we have to travel to like we drive to get the special features for like each one, so that slows us down a little bit. We
Oh,
did like a
wow.
few, we
So you
did
guys,
like 3 trips, and like it was like 2-day trips, but we squeezed in like 4 or 5 releases of like interviews in those trips. Like it was the most like hectic things, but we have a lot like filmed already, so I'm excited.
very cool, man. Wow. That's so you do these epic road trips when you do your special features.
That that's why like originally when they brought like Vinegar mentioned the like again OCN mentioned the deal, I'm like they mentioned that like they have people who could like edit the interviews or whatever, and I was like I could like go that route, or I could team up with the guy that I made adjuster tracking with, which was some of the best times of my life doing those road trips, getting those interviews. I'm like I would rather like team up and just you know split like the money or whatever like with my friend and get to do these crazy trips that we used to do. And that's part of the fun is
That's
going to people's houses and learning about how they made these movies and just seeing their face like relive all these great times that they had, or bad, those are sometimes great too.
that's awesome, man. I mean, so that's really neat. So the discs are produced fully by you and your partner, and that's it. Just you
Mm-hmm.
guys.
Yep. Yeah, I
Wow.
mean,
So you guys shoot all the interviews and cut all the interviews yourselves.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. I mean, I love that. I mean, it's just such a neat, and it fits perfectly and kind of wonderfully with the label itself and the kind of movies you're making. I think it's neat for people to know that. And not that there's anything wrong with using OCN's editors. I know a lot of those people, and they're great people and they're great craftsmen, and it's a great resource. But I do
Mm-hmm.
like the idea that you just decided, you know what, I'm going to do this and have fun with it, have these
Mm-hmm.
trips, that's kind of awesome. I kind of love that. So
Oh yeah, I love. We always. It's super fun, like doing it ourselves and just like having little like hidden things within the like documentary, or just like editing the footage. There's Easter eggs on like all of our releases, like little funny things, and I don't know. That's part of the enjoyable thing about it is just getting to do it with a friend and you know cut these together and make them fun releases, pack them with extras and stuff. So it's cool.
very cool, man. Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show, and I'm really, really excited for tell me again the title of the new one.
Satan's Menagerie.
Satan's Menagerie. Very
Yes.
nice. Yeah, I
Yeah.
cannot wait for that. It sounds epic and incredible.
I can't. Either.
And I can't wait for the 2023 releases, whatever 4 or 5 are coming out.
Uh,
Do you have a perspective for the next release in terms of month? Like, would it be January, February, March, or is it too soon to know that?
the ones that I know one is April,
Okay.
one is July, then October and December. I wanted like a good break because I thought my friend was going to be gone for the beginning of the year. So I'm like, I wanted like a long break, kind of just to, slowly work on editing the special features for the next releases and kind of getting it together. But now
That's
that I
smart.
know he's not really going to be gone, I'm like, we should have done like one more in like February, but whatever.
That's
But
cool.
yeah,
I mean, I'm sure you'll have a great trio that people can absorb and ruminate on, while they're waiting for that April announcement. But like I said, I can't wait.
oh,
I'm a big fan of.
the the April announcement, that's gonna have the most special features ever.
More
So
than
people,
7 hours?
this 2 discs. We need to like it's gonna be packed to like you can't even fit another second on like either disc. Like it's this that'll be a good one. That's why we need a little extra time for that one.
For
And then
sure.
the
Oh my
one in
God.
the summer is like going to just blow everyone away. Like I'm so excited about that one. So
Oh, this is great, man. This is great.
yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Again, everybody check out Adjust Your Tracking right away.
Thank you.
because it's amazing. And yeah, be checking out everything that Dan is doing with VHS Shitfest over at vinegarsyndrome.com in the partner label section. Yeah, I definitely recommend the CORNSHUKKER and Blood Hunter, two that I already have. And I think people coming in this will post after the Black Friday sale, but that said, I think there's another partner label exclusive month coming in December. That's what that whole announcement is.
Yeah, that'll be Satan's Menagerie. So
Yeah,
everyone go that one.
So if you haven't picked up the other two releases, you can grab them when you grab Satan's Menagerie, which sounds like an absolute must-have as far as I can tell.
I'm so excited about that one. I can't wait to rewatch it. We did like a new transfer for it, and it looks better than it's ever looked. So I'm excited for everyone to get that.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again so much, Dan, for coming on, and I wish you the best with this wonderful new label you got going.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye, everybody.